Hey, what's up, good people? This is Tony Wiggins. We're locked on Jaguars here on a hump day on Wednesday. What can we learn about the Jaguars down the stretch that we haven't already learned that's going to help this team moving forward? I'll tell you, I'll give you my thoughts on it here on the Wednesday on Locked on Jaguars in just a second.
You are Locked on Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, good people? We thank you for joining us here on Locked on Jaguars for a drive time edition of the show. We thank you for making us your first listen every day here on Locked on Jaguars because it's your team every day. We bring you this daily podcast here talking about your Jacksonville Jaguars. I got to let you know that today's show is also brought to you by On Location. On Location is the official hospitality partner of the NFL. It's the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Visit On Location, exp.com/SB56 for more information or search Super Bowl On Location. We thank On Location for that great sponsorship and partnership as well. What are we going to learn about the Jaguars coming down the stretch in these last 7 games? They're 2-10. We already know they're bad. I talked yesterday and the day before how epically bad the team is under Urban Meyer and his leadership. But what do we learn? Coaches don't make changes to offensive staffs at this juncture. And if I'm an offensive coordinator that happens to be unemployed right now, that probably means I'm not very good at what I do already, or I got fired. And then if I am available, the last thing I would want is my next opportunity to be one where I'm taking over in the middle of the season and I'm sort of a lame duck guy. That's why it never happens and you never see it. So I do believe that this staff will finish out the season. If guys don't finish out, there won't be any new additions. What there will be is they'll just be guys promoted from within. What can we learn from these guys down the stretch? I think what we need to do and focus on is making sure Trevor Lawrence stays healthy. The last thing you need is, and I don't talk about him because I don't like speaking them in existence, but the last thing you need from this point moving forward, or at any point between now and the end of the year, is for some freak accident to happen that keeps Trevor from being available at the start of next season and hinders him from working on things that he has to work on in the offseason that you just can't work on during the season. Because during the season, guys just aren't working on the mechanics too much. That's usually something that's done sort of in the off season. So the improvement from year 1 to year 2 that Trevor has to have, a lot of that's going to take place when he gets to work with his own people. He'll probably have an independent quarterback coach, but you don't want to see him get banged up, man. So one of the ways that you can prevent that is through game plan. I never say you stop trying to win. I never say you tank. I never say you go half speed because that's usually when injuries occur. But there may be some things that you can do, and especially when these games, or if some of these games get out of hand, which I do think some of them will get out of hand coming down the stretch, that you just have to protect your future and you have to protect your football player. It's kind of hard to do when you think about it because you don't know exactly who is going to be here next year. It's a bad situation. That's why I think it's so hard for me to talk about what they're going to learn, but we're going to do it anyway. What could they possibly learn down the stretch? Because you're learning from people that's not going to be here likely next year, at least on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know if the head coach is going to be here, to be honest, but let's just assume for the fact for this podcast that he is going to be here, and Shad is going to be what Shad has always been, and that's someone who's slow to fire people. Let's just assume that he is going to be here next year, he being Urban Meyer. So I think even if he's here, that offensive staff is going to get shaken up. You can't say that you don't know things and that you don't micromanage things, but then you don't agree with them. And then those things never change without you making changes. So if you're going to make changes, the guys that you have out there leading your football team and leading the charge in these meeting rooms are basically for the next 7 weeks teaching them things that these guys aren't going to be adhering to next year once you get new coaches in here. So is there anything that you could possibly learn? Yes, there is. And I'll tell you what some of those things are. You can learn from the tough lessons of this season on how not to proceed with the rest of your career if you're a lot of guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You can learn that swagger and attitude and the way that you walk around, while that may be something that is important, it's not something that you lead with. And regardless of what your coach says, because Urban is stuck on having these guys that have certain attitudes. He's stuck on having guys that walk a certain way, that act a certain way, that talk like warriors. Let me tell you something. It's one thing that I have a pet peeve about. Some rappers used to do it. They say, I got a military mind. And they haven't stepped in one day in service. Guys are saying they're soldiers and never had a rucksack on their back, a 75-pound rucksack for 6 miles. Never did a bivouac. You take certain things and characteristics and you try to adopt them on your own, and you try to use them. As I see a lot of older people do this. They write books and they say that these they took everything from General Patton and all of these people, and they never served a day, and they don't understand why these people did what they did. Well, that's what it sounds like to me when you keep constantly talking about how a guy is an alpha and he's a warrior and he has the attitude and the swagger. You get all of those things from being a champion or winning. How do you walk around as all of those things and you ain't never won nothing? You can want to be what you want, but what you are is what you are. And right now you're 2-10. So if the coach is an alpha and all he has is warriors and alphas, with the exception of the offensive staff that he's probably going to fire, you need to learn that you're not what you think you are. Because the hope is that one day what's going to happen is people that are those things that you're saying you are going to show up down at TIAA Bank Field and start leading this team to victory. They got to take a hard look in the mirror. You ain't 2-10 because DJ Chark got hurt. You ain't 2-10 because Travis Etienne got hurt. You ain't 2-10 because your offensive coordinator sucks. You ain't 2-10 because nobody's on the same page. You ain't 2-10 because Urban Meyer is new at this. You ain't 2-10 because of all of these other reasons, and it's a new regime. And you ain't 2-10 because Urban's getting used to college. You 2-10 because you 2-10, and you 2-10 because you stink. It's just that simple. There has to be a cold-hearted self-examination. And if the coach won't do it, they need to do it themselves. And they need to start demanding stuff. They need to start saying, because at some point, if they start tuning them out, some things you can learn from not being taught stuff. I read the paper when I was a kid because my grandmother said, don't read everything you read. Don't take everything you read in there as the truth, because it's not. You need to read it, though, and understand that what they're trying not to tell you. So when you're losing and this guy's calling you a warrior every day, at some point you need to look in the mirror as a man and say, I'm not a warrior. I'm just a dude getting his ass whooped every Sunday, and I'm getting a paycheck for it, and I'm going to keep trying. But I'm like the 4th or 5th best player on this team. And in order for us to ever be good, I need 17 guys that are better than me to come to this team. You can be a part of it. You can be a champion at some point. And I didn't say that the whole team is full of guys that shouldn't be in the NFL. No, I just think your 4th or 5th best player should be your 17th or 18th best player if you're really going to be a good team. I think some of the guys, and you know their names, they shouldn't be guys you know their names. Shouldn't be guys you recognize at restaurants. There are some guys at the bottom of this roster that need to be able to walk around in total obscurity and not be noticed in this city. Not in Jacksonville, though. You know everybody. Everybody's a warrior. Everybody's because it's a small town, it was not really a small town. I'm gonna quit saying that, but because people are just that invested in the team. Some of these guys, you don't need to be asking for their autograph. I'm just being honest with you. I'm gonna tell you who those guys are. This is what we're gonna do in segment 2. Who are the guys that are currently on this roster, and can they be kept? But who are the guys that are currently on this roster that are the type of guys that when we look ahead in the future can be a part of this team? I'm going to do offense and defense. I'm going to go one by one, little by little. And I ain't talking about Walker Little, but little by little. And I'm going to go down the line, and I'm going to let you know that regardless of who the leader is next year, regardless of who the offensive coaches are, you can only control what you can control. You still need to be trying to find good players and detain and retain the ones that are pretty good. So I'm going to go through and say, I don't know. I've already told you, I don't think what they need to learn from this, you don't want bad teachers teaching them stuff. So what they have to learn, they have to be self-learned in this situation. And they have to say, well, look, no, you know what, this is what we are, regardless of what that dude's saying. This is what we have to do. That's your only hope right now, because I told you the coach, he ain't gonna do it. The assistant coaches, they're going to get fired. So right now, between now and the end of the season, what on earth are they doing? So I told you, they need to be self-learning. So now, who are the guys that will benefit most from being self-learning, and then understand exactly what they need to do in the offseason next year? I'm going to tell you who it is, man. I'm going to holler at you about all of that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars on a Wednesday, after I tell you about Super Bowl 56, which is at SoFi, which is in LA, and it's less than 100 days away and on location. The official hospitality partner of the NFL is the only place to score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Select your exact seats and choose from elite experiences featuring an exclusive pregame celebration with NFL legends, 5-star LA hotels, and food by the great Wolfgang Puck. Love me some Wolfgang Puck, man. Ate at his restaurant in Vegas. It was a very, very good experience. He is absolutely phenomenal. So visit on location, exp.com/SB56 for more information, or search Super Bowl on location. That's on location, exp.com/SB56, or search Super Bowl on location. I'm going to holler at you guys too today, man, about Bet Online. What is Bet Online? You already know what it is. It is the place that has you covered, because it is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. You know how to do it, man. You need to get on a laptop or your telephone, or whatever it is, your mobile device, or whatever you got. All right. And go sign up today so you can receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code Locked On to receive your bonus. Now, it's football. Basketball is in full swing right now. Boxing and UFC, they got matches almost every other weekend since we've all come back from last year. So don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021/2022 season. Like I said, it's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports, and they have you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before, as these seasons really heat up and these playoffs are about to get started, especially in the NFL and even in college. So you need to make sure you go to Bet Online, use the promo code Locked On to receive your 50% welcome bonus. Bet Online is where the game starts. And where you start every day here is with me on Locked On Jaguars, because it's your team every day, and we thank you for making us your first listen. All right, so they ain't going to learn nothing from the coaches from here to the rest of the season, because those guys probably feel like they're getting fired anyway, and Urban better hope and pray that he has a job. So what do? You have to be self-learning, and you have to help yourself, and you have to position yourself to do as well as you can. I'm going to go first with Cam Robinson. He didn't play well last week. I think he needs to close out the rest of the season thinking about himself and protect your quarterback, and start getting ready to think about yourself in the offseason, where you're going to be either franchise tag, extended, or you're going to hit free agency as a 26, 27-year-old, 25 or 26-year-old left tackle, and you're going to have a chance to make you some money. Cam Robinson has to make sure he keeps himself in tip-top physical shape and try to put some good stuff on tape for the rest of the year. He's solid now. Just don't put any bad tape out there for the rest of the year. Andrew Norwell, you have to show them that you deserve to be kept. Okay, so that's left tackle, left guard. Brandon Leonard's one of the 10 best at his position in the entire league. He ain't going nowhere. As a matter of fact, I think Brandon Linder's going to retire a Jaguar, as he should. Right guard AJ Cann. Might want to find a real estate agent. I'm just saying, because that is a sore spot. Ben Barch, you better keep working hard to make sure that you can stay in the top 8 in the rotation. Jawan Taylor, I have no clue. You might want to try to put some stuff on tape. People aren't going to give up on a 6'6", 325-pound young man. You're going to have a job in the league for quite a long time. I can't think of the kid from Miami that came through Jacksonville. He was been in New York with the Giants. If that dude's still in the league, Jawan Taylor's going to be in the league for a while too. Yeah, you got a lot of work to do. Walk a little. You need to get stronger. You need to. Urban says he wants to see some of the younger players, so I assume that's walk a little, and that's Andre Cisco. Notice I've only said about 2 guys so far that I'm confident about, right? And that's Cam Robinson and Brandon Linder. And, of course, Ben Barch will be a part of the rotation too. So that's 3 guys. So how many offensive linemen do I think they need? I think they need at least 3 or 4 new ones. And it doesn't mean the unit is terrible, and it doesn't mean that they are the number one priority. But just like I told you, when you go to the gym, you don't always lose weight in the areas that you want first. What you want and what you need and what's going to be available to you can be 2 totally different things. And you have to make sure you use your resources properly. And if there's some offensive linemen in free agency, or there's offensive linemen in the draft, and they're standing right there in your face and they're easily more obtainable than these wide receivers, then you better grab whatever you can to make your team better, and then wait until the draft to get that other thing, okay? Or wait until the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round to get that other thing. That means that everything is in play. Guys in free agency, and Evan Neal and Chris Cross and Charles Cross at the top, Charles Cross at the top of the draft, and that kid from NC State. All of that stuff is in play, especially when you don't know what you're going to do with Cam Robinson. Dan Arnold can be a real good part of the team. O'Shaughnessy can be a real good part of the team. But I do think they need to find them a number 1 tight end that's very dynamic and can be a buddy for Trevor on a more consistent basis, and a guy who also can run block. It'd be nice if they had a guy who was multiple, who could run block and catch. Let's get to the wide receivers real quick. Marvin Jones ain't going anywhere. He's a veteran. They gave him some money. He's also the kind of guy you want to be around to bring character to the room. DJ Chark, what are you going to do? Can they offer DJ Chark a smaller deal to keep DJ Chark around? I would do it. I'd give him a 1 or 2 year deal because he's coming off of an injury with some guarantees in it. Maybe he wants to stay in Jacksonville. If he doesn't take it, he's going to test the waters, and there's no telling what can happen at that point. Laviska Shenault, I don't know. Because anytime a team gives you ample opportunity because they need you to be the man and you show them you can't be, well, you just put yourself sort of in the back of the bus a little bit. And I think it's going to be very hard for him moving forward here to change anything. His trajectory now is just a guy who's just going to be probably your 4th or 5th receiver on a good team, and a bit of a utility guy. Jamal Agnew, get healthy, because you're going to be a very valuable piece next year, along with Travis Etienne. They want speed. They want explosiveness. You're a guy that can separate. He's going to be a part of the team next year, and is going to be a big part of it. Laquan Treadwell, maybe a bottom of the roster guy. Maybe he's shown enough in his ability to win to warrant being brought back. Who knows? James Robinson. I think he's been disrespected. I think he's actually the best player on the offense that's not a quarterback, and maybe on the team that's not a quarterback. For some reason, man, they don't like you very much because you don't fit their athletic profile. And we're going to talk about that in segment 3 and why I think that's such a troubling thing. I'm going to give a little bit of a mulligan about traits, because I did talk to someone that says Urban's not the only one that does that. There's a lot of people that do that, but there's something that Urban is not doing that is super, super troubling. Trevor Lawrence, good to go. Just stay healthy. CJ Beathard, you overpaid, but that's okay. You're on the team too. So there you go on offense. Defense, Devon Hamilton, keep improving, getting better. I think you can be a real good part of the team, a real good part of a team that can win. Adam Gossis, I don't care what y'all say. That dude can play. And if the Jaguars don't do it, somebody's going to give him some money. Somebody's going to give him at least the type of money that Roy Robertson Harris got from Jacksonville, or maybe even more. Roy Robertson Harris, You got another year you can be in the system and to be a rotational player. I don't think he's anything more than that. And the people that thought the Jaguars were going to overachieve and make him something that more than he was ever going to be, I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I don't see that occurring with him here. Who else along the deal? Malcolm Brown. I don't know what their plan is. I have no idea. But you can never get enough of veterans and guys like that who really, really know how to get down with it and know how to play. Dewan Smoot's a free agent. He's going to get some money from somewhere, and I don't know if it's going to be here because I don't know if they'll value him like that, especially if they plan on going into next season with using a high draft pick on somebody on an edge rusher. So they got a little bit of a dilemma with that. Miles Jack, I think Miles Jack might get traded. I think they're going to wonder if the money is worth it that they're paying him, and I think Miles Jack might get traded. And I think you might be able to get something real nice for him if they can. I think you'll get something real nice for him if they can negotiate it, which they haven't really shown that. Tyson Campbell has a future, obviously. Shaq, Griffin, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if they added a corner, either a guy that's a career nickel guy or another guy who can compete and maybe slide Tyson Campbell into the nickel spot so he can be a big box guy and blitz the quarterback. The safety position, they paid Jenkins a lot of money. I think he can be a part of it. Cisco, we're going to see down the stretch what you're worth. Dewey Wingard is whatever. And pretty much that's it. That's it. So a lot of names that I mentioned, guys, I omitted a lot of people. You know why? Because there ain't a lot to talk about. I don't see a lot of contribution coming from anybody other than the people I just mentioned in terms of what their long-term potential is for this football team. All right, last segment. I'm going to talk about these traits. And it's going to be a short and quick, sweet segment, but I'm going to talk about these traits, and I'll let you know that somebody did tell me that Urban Meyer is not the only person that has these athletic traits. And we'll discuss it in just a second after I tell you about Built Bar and what they're doing for this holiday season. Grab the protein bar that makes the most sense for you on your diet, and it tastes like a candy bar. And you don't even have to be on a diet, man. You just want something that tastes good, and you want something that gives you the energy that you need throughout the day. Built Bar is filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat. And it's very, very high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. They have a lot of flavors, man, so many. You can try cherry, the double chocolate mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, or my favorite, go ahead and say it with me, salted caramel. That's right. That is my favorite. So Built Bar gives you the extra fuel you need to bust down these mall doors and battle all the holiday shoppers and won't fall asleep sitting at the red light in traffic either. What you need to do is go to built.com and use the promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off of your order. Now, like some of those marshmallowy treats around the holidays, you need to get your hands on Built Bar Puffs. They're light, fluffy, and marshmallowy through and through. Different flavors, all covered in incredible chocolate. Tastes so good, you won't believe that they're filled with protein. So it's built.com. LOCK15 is your promo code for 15% off your order. And we're going to keep rolling through here on a Friday with a short, quick, sweet segment. These traits. Urban talks about guys being long and fast and having certain characteristics. I told you the story about how he wanted an inline defensive end, and then they took Jordan Smith, who hasn't seen the field for them this year, and I hope the strength and conditioning program is working. And I discussed that with someone, and they said, hey, well, hold on, wait a minute now. All people do that. Tex Schramm and Tom Landry and those boys, they did that years ago with the Cowboys. They say, give me the biggest, strongest guys we can, and we'll keep getting them, and eventually we'll be better than everybody else. And there are traits that you look for. However, this is what they said. There's two things. What are the traits? You have your idea of a prototype. What things can you live without if a prospect doesn't have all of them and he's one short, but he can really, really play? Could you live without speed a little bit? What about arm length? Can you get by with that? Can you scheme it up so that that's not a problem? If it's a quarterback, what about if his arm doesn't have as much strength as you like? What if he's not agile or mobile and he can't really get out of the pocket? So when you have all of these characteristics, just assume that there's no perfect prospect. And at some point, guys are going to fall short in some of these categories. So what is the thing that you can most do without, and what's the thing that you can do without the least? And I'm thinking that it varies from position to position. However, it seems like the one thing that Urban Meyer and his crew cannot live without is speed. And if you do that, that's cool. But the bottom line is speed isn't the only thing that allows you to play football. So you're probably eliminating a whole bunch of people. You're eliminating a whole bunch of people that are really, really good football players, and they can beat you with their mind and their navigation system. And oh, by the way, all of them won't be on the same team together. They're going to be mixed and blended in with other guys who are actually fast. So therefore, as a team, the team that they play on might not be slow, and they might not be as fast as all of you guys in a foot race. But if they're smarter and they're better at what they do, then how fast you are really won't matter, because you'll probably just be running real fast to the wrong place all the time. So that's one thing. The other thing is, when you have guys that don't have those things that you like, that don't meet that criteria, how do you treat them? Are you always trying to replace guys because they don't have certain traits and characteristics when they're already sitting in your face and they're good football players? And that makes me think about one James Robinson. That's exactly what's going on here. I think at some point, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that when they drafted Travis Etienne, they realized that James Robinson was too slow for their liking. I think at some point, when you realize that they're playing Carlos Hyde way too much and they're punishing James Robinson, they're just, you know what it's like? You know how I don't know if y'all ever been through this, when you were young, when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever, and you were in love with this girl, right? You were in love with her. She didn't like you. And you met somebody else who's really, really nice. I mean, she's the sweetest thing ever. And you're like, man, I'm so happy. So one day you wake up and realize, but she still ain't her. That's what they treating James Robinson like down there. James Robinson, you cool, but damn, I wish I had somebody else. That's what it is. That's how they're treating him. And they got to get that right. So everybody does traits. I think Urban and his crew, they probably overdo it. They ain't gonna say probably, that they overdo it. And unfortunately, it's going to cost the Jaguars. It might cost them a really good player in the offseason next year in James Robinson. It won't cost you nothing to go and watch the Locked On Bets and find the Locked On Bets and listen to the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q as your host, and an analyst is Lee Sterling. They give you all of the information that you need on a daily basis to make sure that you get your information, so when you make your wagers, you win some money. So check out the Locked On Bets podcast and make it your second listen of the day. We appreciate you making this one your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars, and we'll be here tomorrow, the next day, and then Monday. I'll do a crossover with Tyler Rowland of Tic Tac Titans, at Tic Tac Titans on Twitter, from Locked On Titans. We'll do that, and we'll have that out for you tomorrow. Until then, you guys take care of each other and hang in there, Jaguar fans. You'll be all right sooner or later. All right, this is your boy Tony Wiggins, and I am out.